Now stay tuned for CBS News.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Ratto reporting. Good evening. It is one of the century's worst maritime disasters. In a sea channel south of Manila, at least 1,500 people, and probably many more than that, have drowned. The victims were headed for Christmas reunions when their packed ferry collided last night with an oil tanker, burst into flames, and sank. Richard Wagner reports from shocked Manila.
At first light, there was nothing to see, no one to save. It was as if the Doña Paz and the Victor had passed in the night instead of steaming into each other with an appalling loss of life. Later, there was an oil slick, nothing more. No floating Christmas presents, no trace of the victims. Ashore, only 26 survivors, battered and burned, just thankful to be alive.
I was awakened by the collision, and the next thing I knew, there were explosions all around. And then I shouted to everybody, "Jump, jump, the ship is on fire."
Other survivors told of screaming at friends and relatives in efforts to save lives, to no avail. The collision took place in a deadly channel where at least 2 fatal accidents have happened before. This father and daughter were coming to the capital to celebrate Christmas with loved ones. They're here, but there will be no joy in their Christmas. Tonight, anxious relatives crowd the harbor side, meeting incoming ships, but the news is not good.
As far as Philippine Prince is concerned, no survivor on board.
Shocked and stunned families stare in disbelief at the heart-rendingly short list of survivors. Shipping officials say overcrowding of ferries is common at this holiday time of year. The operators of the Doña Paz can't say how many people crowded aboard their vessel, but it may have been too many.
We don't have any basis for any estimate.
Jack Lee put his wife and 3 children aboard the Doña Paz yesterday. He thinks the ship was loaded to twice its capacity.
I estimate, I think it is more or less 3,000 passengers.
Jack Lee's family is among the missing and presumed dead. While estimates of the death toll in this Christmas season disaster range from 1,500 to more than twice that many, the tragic truth is that the exact number will never be known. Richard Wagner, CBS News, Manila.
Christmas will be different this year in Bethlehem, now Israeli-occupied West Bank territory. The Palestinian mayor today canceled many Christmas-related activities. He did so out of sympathy with and because of pressure from protesting Palestinians. Israeli troops shot and killed 3 more Palestinians today for a 2-week total of at least 19. CBS News correspondent Bob Simon reports that for the first time, Arabs inside Israel joined the protests.
From the sights, the sounds, the smell of gas, it seemed like Gaza or the West Bank, the occupied territories. It was, in fact, Israel, the town of Nazareth in the Upper Galilee. These are Israeli citizens, Israeli Arabs. There are 800,000 of them. They go to Israeli schools, they pay Israeli taxes. They vote for members of the Israeli parliament. Today, they were singing the praises of Palestine, striking in solidarity with the people of the refugee camps.
Today's strike is a strike that signifies the unity, the political unity of all Palestinians living under Israeli control. Basically what you see today is there is one cleavage, Jews versus Arabs under Israeli control.
Israeli officials still insist it is not a revolt, it is not a rebellion. But whatever it is still going on. That's what confuses Israelis. Despite all predictions, it will not go away. In Gaza today, there were thousands of demonstrators, masses of troops, tear gas dropped from helicopters, babies turned propagandists. Around Jerusalem, entire villages were in a state of revolt. It looked like house-to-house combat at times. People tore down stone walls for ammunition before they disappeared in clouds of gas. Palestinians here were angered by what they saw as an act of provocation last week when Cabinet Minister Ariel Sharon made a public display of moving into a house in the Muslim quarter of the city. This outraged even the most moderate Palestinian leaders.
He acted like an emperor, like a conquering emperor.
The army said tonight it will toughen its policy on the West Bank and Gaza. Starting tomorrow, a military spokesman said, the army will reinforce its troops and act with more determination. Bob Simon, CBS News, on the West Bank.
In Washington, President Reagan and his administration apparently are limiting their criticism, if any, of Israeli tactics to quiet diplomacy, as we hear from Eric Engberg.
Pictures like these, flashed to television audiences around the world, have generated a stream of angry reaction to Israel's hardline stance in Gaza. The decision to use deadly force against civilian demonstrators has brought vocal condemnations from several countries and at the same time put more subtle strains on America's relationship with Israel.
It has on its hand a rebellious population, and the Americans who underwrite Israel look at this with great embarrassment and acknowledge that there isn't much they could do.
As the violence escalated, the U.S. carefully avoided open criticism of the Israelis, but exerted quiet pressure to stop the shooting.
We have been in touch with the highest levels of the Israeli government, and they assure us that they are doing everything possible to avoid further casualties.
Experts generally blame the outbreak on the sense of desperation that has consumed Palestinians as peace efforts stalled. But Israel's policies are also likely to face renewed scrutiny.
It's clearly going to increase some pressures within the United States to in turn increase pressures on the Israelis not to exercise the iron fist in dealing with this.
The United Nations is expected to vote this week on a resolution condemning Israel's actions in Gaza. That will force the U.S. to take a public stand for or against the Israelis for the first time since the violence broke out.
U.S. officials, noting they can influence but not direct the Israelis, admit that there is little that they can do beyond hope that the occupation troops contain the violence without resorting to shooting unarmed civilians. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
President Reagan and Congress are still wrangling tonight. Congress is trying to pass a new spending bill to get everybody home for the holidays, but that bill still faces a veto threat from President Reagan. Phil Jones is on Capitol Hill to bring us up to date. Phil?
Well, Dan, if anyone plans to come to Washington to visit the zoo, forget it. There's a much better show right here under the Capitol Dome. Frustrated politicians are about ready to hang from the rafters tonight.
High-level negotiations resumed late this afternoon as Treasury Secretary James Baker came to the Capitol to work out the $600 billion measure to fund the federal government and to cut the deficit. This has been a day of bickering. At the White House, the president continued his threats to veto any legislation that includes a provision to reinstate the Fairness Doctrine, requiring broadcasters to give equal time to all viewpoints. And the president said the budget mess sends a bad signal to Wall Street.
That we're tired of the kind of budget shenanigans that have been going on for 7 years. That's the message.
But at Capitol Hill, Democrats were fed up with the president's veto threats.
I regret that these veto threats continue to come because they make it hard for the president and the Congress to work out these thorny problems in the final analysis.
The thorniest of problems continues to be contra aid. The president has signed off on a deal that would give him about $4 million in humanitarian aid and about $4.5 million to transport military equipment already in the pipeline. But there would be a congressional vote in early February, and if either the Senate or House voted no, aid would end. If the president won, he could ask for more Contra assistance. 100 House Democrats who are opposed to Contra aid are still trying to kill the deal. The stopgap funding that allowed federal workers to come to work today expires at midnight tonight, and as the haggling continues, some members are threatening to block any more temporary fixes.
Bring the government to its knees and close the government down until these people come to their senses.
So the place is in chaos, and even if they pass the spending and deficit bills later tonight, it could be tomorrow before the president decides whether to sign or veto it. Dan?
Well, Phil, what happens if there's no progress tonight, and why should anyone care?
Very simple. If they don't do anything by midnight tonight, the federal government runs out of money again, and it will be out of business.
Thank you, Phil. Nicaragua's Sandinista government conceded today that fighting still rages inside Nicaragua's border with Honduras, this as a result of a major weekend Contra offensive. The Sandinistas said 24 Contras and 23 Nicaraguan soldiers have been killed. President Reagan's spokesman today described the Contra attack as, and I quote, very encouraging and helpful, end of quotation. The Sandinistas also say a Nicaraguan civilian cargo plane made an emergency landing in Costa Rica after being hit by a U.S.-supplied Contra missile. Despite these developments on the war front, the first face-to-face Nicaraguan peace talks were still set to go on tonight in the Dominican Republic. And still to come on the CBS Evening News, Robert Shackney has the latest on charges of racial discrimination inside the FBI. Susan Spencer on developments in the desperate struggle of doctors and patients in the fight against AIDS. And Richard Roth on the new technology advertisers are using to get your attention.
American Family, the only sweepstakes that's made its winners millionaires 5 years running. Beat this date, and you may be our next $10 million winner. Just like me. Millions of dollars for homes, travel, boats, cars, all for you.
And still have millions of dollars left over.
Watch for the sweepstakes with my picture and be sure to enter before January 29th. You may be American Family Publishers' next $10 million winner.
My grandma's the best. But what do you get a grandma for her birthday?
Introducing the American Express Gift Check. It lets the people you love choose a present they love. The new American Express Gift Check.
It's from my grandson.
Over the years, a flashlight goes through a lot of batteries. But the rechargeable flashlight from First Alert never needs batteries, and it's always ready to shine. Get the rechargeable flashlight from First Alert and quit throwing your money down the tube.
All this great food.
It's for the party. And a fresh box of Arm & Hammer baking soda keeps everything fresh.
Another box in the freezer.
Keeps ice cream from tasting funny. Save some for the guests. And the calendar reminds us to change the box every 3 months. We'll use the old box to freshen the drain.
Arm & Hammer baking soda keeps everything fresh around here.
Everything you don't eat.
Arm & Hammer baking soda for the fridge and freezer. Isn't it time for a fresh box?
The U.S. Navy issued new orders today in response to criticism of the way it treats its 54,000 women. These orders forbid sexual harassment and provide new opportunities for women. Women now will be allowed to serve on ammunition ships and some other vessels and aircraft, but still not on combat ships and combat planes. Recent military and civilian studies have found some sexual bias and harassment in all of the armed services. For another branch of the government, there are accusations of racial bias. Robert Shackney has been looking into these accusations against the FBI.
FBI Special Agent Donald Rochon thought he was prepared for anything. Spies, drug dealers, the mob. But he was not prepared for the racial harassment he found within the ranks of the FBI.
What happened was a major civil rights violation, far more egregious than I've seen members of the Ku Klux Klan charged with.
It began in the Omaha field office with harassing phone calls and racial insults. In Chicago, it escalated into obscene threats by mail, like this one depicting him as a black devil at the center of a bullseye.
They were threatening to kill me.
Threatening to kill you?
Right. I got a letter threatening to dismember my genitals, threats to rape my wife.
Rochon, a lawyer, filed his first complaints within the FBI system, accusing his fellow agents by name. That's the rule.
What happened to them and what happened to you?
Well, nothing happened to them at all.
And what happened to you?
I was given a letter of censure.
The wrongdoers here were patted on the back and many of them got promoted, whereas the person who was the victim was punished.
Denied a transfer and later demoted, Rochon broke ranks, went outside the FBI to appeal. He took his case to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and the Justice Department. Both ruled in his favor, concluding that the FBI condoned unlawful discrimination and harassment and had retaliated against Rochon for opposing racial harassment. Despite the ruling, the FBI still hasn't fully cleared Rochon's record, and his lawyers accuse the Justice Department Civil Rights Division of helping the FBI engineer a cover-up by delaying a criminal investigation of Rochon's charges for well over a year. 2 congressional committees are now investigating.
I'm very troubled with the Rochon case, very, very troubled, and what it means, and whether or not it's a tip of the iceberg, an ugly iceberg, we're going to find out.
It's not the only charge of racism in the FBI. Another black agent is also suing. Hispanic agents have filed a class action discrimination lawsuit, and privately many agents complain of racial tension. The FBI had no comment on Roshan's charges, except to say it is treating them seriously and conducting a high-priority investigation. Roshan says he will not leave the FBI. That would be giving in to racism. And he'll press his lawsuit to make the FBI obey the very laws it's supposed to enforce. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Washington.
3 Soviet cosmonauts soared into space today to replace the crew on an orbiting space station. The Soyuz spacecraft was launched from a base in Soviet Central Asia. It's expected to dock Wednesday with the Mir space station, and the 2 crew members now aboard the Mir will then return to Earth. One of them has been up there since February, setting a world record for the longest time in space.
College isn't all fun and games, you know.
Oh, yes, it's very serious, Daddy.
That's why
We got my computer.
IBM introduces the Personal System 2 that fits a college room and budget.
I'll do my term papers with it.
And?
My lab reports.
With power and graphics that earn top grades.
And?
Economic problems.
And?
Ride home once a week.
Smart girl.
The newest member of the IBM Personal System 2 family.
Okay, lady, let's find a gift for tired feet. You're the expert.
When you're looking for slippers with something extra, follow the expert. She knows that some slippers just cover the feet. But Isotoner Comfort Slippers gently massage tired feet. They'll feel relaxed all over. This Christmas, follow the expert. Give the gift of comfort. Isotoner Comfort Slippers.
Is there a problem?
The fridge is out.
Well, I can get you where you're going.
Stetson Cologne. Easy to wear, hard to resist.
You're letting that great smelling guy get away? Are you kidding?
We love visiting America.
Hot chili, barbecued ribs, corn fritters.
But it's jolly good you have kaopectate.
Nothing relieves diarrhea and calms cramps faster than kaopectate tablet formula.
Kaopectate.
The diarrhea specialist.
The Coast Guard says 14 of 15 men aboard a helicopter that crashed today died. The chopper crashed into an oil drilling rig and burned some 60 miles off the Louisiana coast. The lone survivor was severely burned. He was flown by Coast Guard helicopter to a hospital. Reports today of concern in the medical community over doctors who prescribed the powerful drug AZT for carriers of the AIDS virus even before they develop symptoms of the disease. The New York Times said the drug is approved by the government for use only for certain patients with AIDS symptoms. But as the dread of the disease may encourage doctors to stretch regulations, it also is spurring a kind of cottage industry in AIDS drugs. CBS News medical correspondent Susan Spencer has our report.
In this California lab, scientists experiment with the latest in high tech, trying to design a brand new drug against AIDS. In government testing projects around the country, doctors experiment with some 40 known drugs, hoping one will hit. And in his kitchen, Tom Hansen experiments too, with homemade brews, wheatgrass and flower pollen, chemicals and vitamins.
Well, if it's non-toxic, then I'm more willing to try it.
How many different things do you take?
Probably 50.
50?
Yeah.
What does this cost?
Well, I calculated at one time to be about $500 a month.
The search for AIDS drugs seems to operate in two different worlds. The world of science and government and the world of the patients, who increasingly are taking matters into their own hands.
Scornful of government's pace, a group of New York patients and their doctors have banded together to do their own testing of drugs, reported or even rumored effective. California now allows AIDS drugs to be tested and used in California without federal approval. In both cases, the laboratory is the neighborhood, and the vast pool of people either unwilling or unable to get involved in government trials, but desperate to do something.
The FDA is dragging its feet, and in the meantime, a lot of people are dying.
When the National Institutes of Health say that they're enrolling 1,800 new people, say, by the end of the year, that's true, but the vast majority of those are being treated with one drug, the EZT, and that perhaps other drugs can be tested quicker.
We see ourselves as a creative, alternate way of doing research leading toward the same end.
But many doctors worry about the quality of grassroots research and feel that ad hoc testing may in the end only complicate the search for new drugs and could even be dangerous.
When we hear about drugs that could perhaps be beneficial, it's important, again, to try them in a carefully controlled fashion.
Enter a government project that could speed up the time-consuming search. In the most ambitious approach yet, scientists are trying to take the first X-ray picture of the elusive AIDS virus so they can design a new drug to attack it.
It will knock out one molecule upon which the virus depends for its livelihood, and the drug molecule will jam it.
Results from this experiment are still at least a year away. In the meantime, patients chase rumors of hope. New York distributors of AL-721, a food supplement made from eggs, can't stock it fast enough.
As soon as we made it available, people came to us in droves. We've literally distributed close to 10 tons.
They know there is often little evidence supporting what they do. They know the warnings, but these people are fighting a battle that leaves little time for the scientific method.
Do what I'm doing, and you know, I'm surviving. I'm doing very well. I'm not going to let this get me.
Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
In Gardnerville, Nevada today, paramedic Don Strangle drove into a canal, smashed out a car window, and retrieved a 19-month-old boy who'd been trapped underwater for 25 minutes. The boy, Stephen Edmonds, was hospitalized in critical condition but alive. And in Fargo, North Dakota, it was homecoming day for an 11-year-old boy doctors once called clinically dead. That was when he was pulled from a frozen river 2 weeks ago. Alvaro Garza was submerged 45 minutes before he was rescued. Alvaro will continue therapy for nerve damage to his hands and legs.
Help me. I can't wait to get home and back to school. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Alvaro Garza. A private health group called today for revamping the state and federal Medicaid program from top to bottom. As you know, that's a cooperative program. Ralph Nader's group said Medicaid is grossly inadequate for millions of low-income Americans, though it has improved access to health care for millions of others. Nader's group said the different states' programs range from reasonably good to terrible. It ranked Minnesota as the state with the best Medicaid system, Mississippi the worst.
Imagine how good it would feel to be regular for the rest of your life.
Feel like dancing?
Don't I always?
You could be. Irregularity is often due to a lack of fiber, and doctors recommend Metamucil fiber by name. They know how effective use of natural Metamucil can be. Ask your doctor.
Let's say we close this town down.
Just try to keep up.
Metamucil, and you could be regular for the rest of your life.
There has always been a big Mercedes. Automobiles that have inspired dreams. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Nothing less than the best of every big Mercedes there ever was.
Mouthwash for Christmas? Interesting gift idea.
I thought so.
Tastes icy, clean.
Peppermint.
Why is it blue?
Why not?
Why for Christmas?
Mistletoe.
New Scope Peppermint. It works holidays.
Announcing a new addition to the Lysol spray family. Lysol Light Scent. Unlike the heavy perfume smell of some ordinary air fresheners, Lysol Light Scent's got a light, clean scent. It kills germs on surfaces, cleans the air, gives you all the power of Lysol spray. Get new Lysol Light Scent. They're going fast. Lysol Disinfectant Spray Light Scent, the newest addition to the Lysol family.
It wasn't Scrooge or even the Grinch that drew workers' protest today in North Brunswick, New Jersey. It was the Okanite Corporation that was being picketed by employees for suspending them because they wore Santa hats at work. Not appropriate for a business environment, said Okanite, which manufactures electrical cable. The suspension started with one worker, then climbed to more than 20 last week, then 100 more today. Workers say there's been no company dress code regarding hats in the past. Well, after a day of shopping this holiday season, more music may not be what you seek when you turn to your favorite magazine in the former quiet of your home. But more music may be what you'll get, along with other appeals to the sensations. Richard Roth has the latest from our brave new world.
Good writing and clever cartoons gave the New Yorker magazine a reputation, but in the issue just off the presses, an advertisement has given the 62-year-old magazine a voice. People marches to a different drummer, as readers will learn when they listen to an upcoming liquor ad. Advertisers who used to depend on sight alone to sell their products in magazines have joined a high-stakes battle of the senses, an escalating war that one critic calls an exercise in arts and crafts.
As more and more advertisers resort to this kind of gimmick to get the reader's attention, it's going to be harder and harder to read a magazine, and things are going to be popping out all over the place.
They already are. Aided by computer design and specialized printing techniques, advertisers now are routinely spending $1 million or more to produce a single ad, above and beyond the cost of buying space in a magazine. New cosmetic ads don't just sell makeup and eyeshadow, they include free samples. Even scented ads pioneered by the perfume industry have found new applications.
The goal was really to somehow capture what makes Rolls-Royce unique.
And the solution was to market the motor car with a strip of paper that smells like leather upholstery.
People smelling the car would buy it. No, I don't think that really was the idea.
The idea is simply to attract attention, to boost what advertisers call the talk-about factor. It didn't work perfectly for the dog food maker who used a scratch and sniff ad for a product designed to smell like bacon.
Smells like a cleaner.
Maybe some kind of a pasta or something like that. It smells like paper.
But you have to admit, it did get noticed. Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
There's only a few more hours, so hurry to Sears' last-minute shopping sale, where this Wednesday you can save on every dishwasher, every dress shirt, every TV and VCR, every bike and trike. Things that are hot, things that are warm, every recliner, every watch, and save 10 to 50% on a whole lot more. We're staying open till 11 at night, so run out to Sears before you run out of time. Wednesday only till 11 p.m.
My grandma's the best. But what do you get a grandma for her birthday?
Introducing the American Express Gift Check. It lets the people you love choose a present they love. The new American Express Gift Check.
It's from my grandson.
Give a gift of Riuniti Spumante, a gift box of Riuniti Apple, Raspberry, and Peach, or a gift box of Riuniti Red, White, Rosé, and Gold. And may all your holidays be bright.
Think this is a price tag? Nope. This is a prize tag with a prize number worth $10 million. Inside your Publishers Clearinghouse envelope, the one with the house on it, you'll find your own prize number. If it matches the number announced on TV this January 29th, you win $10 million. So get your entry in fast, then hang your prize tag. Then when you win the $10 million, you'll be the first to know. From Publishers Clearinghouse.
This is CBS.